Yeah, so, but before I start, I'd really like to give a story just to give, a lot of context to what I'll be presenting today. And it's interesting, it seems like Ansel copied my presentation because there are quite a number of themes which I have in my presentation that she actually highlighted in hers, which is...
That means it's the truth.
Yeah, which is quite interesting. So I'll start with a story. There's a gentleman called David Moya. So David Moya is a Kenyan TikTok influencer. Essentially, he's a dancer. He essentially just does choreographed dances. And what he does with the dance, he's actually, gets unsuspecting people either on the streets, public transport, hospitals, does a choreographed dance, gives them flowers, a gift, cake, and so on and so forth. So currently David has 4.9 million TikTok followers. 4.9. For context, the last census we did in 2019, Nairobi had around 4.2 million citizens in Nairobi. That's for context. Yeah. Now, Daniel started his influencing journey on TikTok with a mobile phone and simply just doing those choreographed dances and sharing them on TikTok as small viral videos. Now, he grew his audience over time, but the most interesting thing is his audience stopped consuming or did not stop at just consuming his content. They wanted to engage with his content. And questions like, how can I book a surprise choreographed dance for my spouse, for a brother? The next question was, how can I tip you? Yeah? And essentially, this is what now brings me to what I'm about to talk about. 2 million merchants. We do 180 million transactions per day. So this is sort of like the universe of M-PESA across the continent. So for content distributors in this space. Now, as I said, it's interesting that we're hosting this meetup in Nairobi. I know we've had a Cape Town edition, but some interesting insights about Africa. By 2050, Africa will be the most populous region in the world, 2.6 billion people. Okay? 60% of the population in Africa are under the age of 25. And 42% are middle class, which means they have spending power. Digital adoption is increasing, and Ansel alluded to this. By 2030, mobile, penetration will be sort of, by the stats, they're saying it should be around 88% cumulatively. And from a recent study by the GSMA State of the Industry on mobile money, currently we have 1.1 billion registered mobile money accounts in Africa. So I'm sort of bringing a different lens. I know most of the players in the room are used to DCB, but I'm essentially showcasing what is the opportunity from a mobile payment point of view. Now, if you look at the growth, Spotify paid out $59 million as royalty to African artists in 2024. That's quite a huge amount of money. And obviously, with Afro pop, Afrobeat, gaining popularity globally, this is just set to go up as well. 1.1 billion value in terms of gaming sales. I know we have gaming players in the room. Quite significant growth happening in that space as well. As we're sort of talking about the convergence of mobile payments and content, in 2025, the digital economy contribution to GDP is around $180 billion. By 2050, that amount is set to almost 4x to almost $700 billion. This is a space to be in. Now, let me bring it closer to home. Charity begins at home, so I have to speak something about Kenya. The Global Web Index did a study, or released out a study, I think a month or 2 months ago, with quite some interesting statistics. 76.5% of internet users in Kenya pay for a digital service. In Kenya, a significant population access internet via the mobile phone. That's quite critical to understand. And these digital services range from music, games, streaming services, online courses, you mention it. And highlighted as Kenya is the 4th highest consumer of digital content globally. Interesting. Now, all this was powered by the 34 million active M-PESA users, the 76.5% who are actually able to pay for a digital service or for content in some shape or form. The underlying enabler is 34 million active M-PESA users in Kenya. Now, looking at the construct of the society, median age in Kenya is 20 years. Digital natives who are tech savvy. Culture is mobile first, heavy social media usage. In fact, we have a term for Kenyans on Twitter. Is it KOT or KOX? Really, really active constituent online. So I think this is quite interesting, and you could take this snapshot and it could be the same for, in some shape or form, Tanzania, Ethiopia. That's where you're headed. Okay? Now, I want us to look at what has mobile money done. And mobile money essentially has provided financial access at scale. There was a huge segment of the population who are not financially active, where formal financial services could not include or had essentially excluded this segment of the population. A good example is Kenya 2007, before M-PESA. Financial inclusion was at around 20-something%. Right now we are in the 80-90 percentile just because of mobile money. Now, with that access at scale, essentially mobile money is unlocking access to opportunity. And that opportunity is in digital content. Okay, there are other verticals we can talk about, whether it's commerce, and so on and so forth. But for the context of this conversation, the opportunity that is being unlocked by mobile money is increasingly in digital content. And you can refer to my earlier story about David Moyer. Actually, he's not a fictional character. Just check him out on TikTok. Now, we've looked at Africa, what's happening around Africa, the youthful, dynamic population that's growing. Smartphone penetration is growing. Connectivity is increasingly becoming affordable. And with all those things in place, Africans are not just consuming content, they are creating it. Okay? And that's really, really pivotal for us to consider in this conversation. So whether we're looking at African musicians distributing their content and being paid mobile money, a TikTok influencer like David Moyer being paid by mobile money, general consumers paying for their streaming or on-demand video services, content creators, monetizing their content on social platforms like Instagram and so on and so forth. Mobile money is becoming the financial engine of Africa's content economy. If you really want to distribute your content at scale, mobile money, should be something you should really, really consider, because it's democratizing both creation and consumption of content. Now, a theme that Ansel talked about, which is trust. So the question is, how do you monetize content in a context where there's low trust and it's cash heavy, which is almost the landscape of Africa. Low trust and cash heavy. And the fact that mobile payments offer a frictionless, trusted payment method, which is actually embedded on a mobile device, essentially allows consumers to access premium, some sports content, buy a game online, subscribe to a comedy channel, support or tip a vlogger on TikTok. Apart from just convenience, this is inclusion, because essentially this segment of the population could not have participated in the digital economy without this trusted form of payment. And we are increasingly seeing a lot of millions of transactions. You remember my first slide, 180 million transactions daily on M-PESA only. It's collectively building out a digital economy and supporting critical livelihoods across the continent. Now, at M-PESA Africa, we offer a one-point integration which can allow you to access 62 million active M-PESA users that we have across the continent. Just one-point integration. And I think for the players in the room on content aggregators, content creators, we are really looking forward to partner with you and see how do we power your payments across the markets where we have presence. And it's as easy as just doing one integration, and you essentially have access to this frictionless, trusted form of payment that is essentially growing across the continent. In closing, to everyone in the room, increasingly we are designing the future of work. Back to my first story, David Moyer, with what he's doing on TikTok, has been able to open up multiple streams of businesses. So we are supporting livelihoods, the future of work, the future of culture on the continent, and also the future of financial dignity in Africa. So one, I think Ansel alluded to it, collaboration, partnerships. No one is an island. So as much as M-PESA is successful, we need content providers, content aggregators, content creators to be able to make this ecosystem grow. Secondly, let's champion user-centric models. And I'll bring this subscription vis-a-vis one-off payments or pay-per-view. As you sort of come to Africa, I know subscription payments are very, very popular in other markets, in other regions. But Africa essentially is a prepay economy. So how are you able to give choice to the customer that if I want to access content on demand, how do I pay for that content? Because my wallet is not my primary source of value. And again, this brings the customer to be front and center of what we're building. And I believe subscription, one-off payments can actually coexist together, because there's a segment which is very happy to subscribe. But then there's also a bigger segment which would like to access content on demand. So giving customer that choice will actually help you with the distribution. So lastly, let's make it inclusive, sustainable, and transformational. It's been a pleasure talking to you about how mobile payments and content are really, really creating a powerful transformation in the lives of Africans. Thank you.